Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of OHKO, a Pokemon VGC podcast. We have Portland Regionals coming up, Regulation F, bunch of Pokemon stuff, so a lot to dive into for this week's episode. My name is Sierra Dawn, joined here by my co-host, of course, Joe Brown, and I do have to apologize. My audio, still a little scuffed because it didn't really make sense for me to go home, fly across the country to then go back to Portland. So you kind of have to deal with this today. My bad.
It's okay. Listen, it's we get through. It's more important to have an episode every week, right, than to have pristine, circumstances every time. So if we have scuffed audio or scuffed video or anything, it is what it is. We apologize to the audience sometimes, but it's better to have content than no content, right?
Yeah, especially too. Like, I know we've taken a week off before when we need to, but Portland Regional's coming up. So we can't miss out on our OHKO predictions. So we did have to have an episode here. I forget, are you going to Portland? I haven't been really keeping track of who's going, who's not.
Yes, I know it's kind of all over the place right now, but yes, I will be casting. Hopefully the tweet is up by now, but it's on the website anyway, so it's like okay. It doesn't matter anyway. But so yeah, I'm one of the commentators this week, and I'm very excited to go to be a part of the first new regional of the new year. Like, it was really cool being a part of San Diego last year, and then like you feel a lot of energy in the January regionals, like how we used to have all the Dallas ones back in the day. Like, it's very energizing to start the year off with Pokemon, and it should be a good time. I think we're gonna have a lot of players, like more than usual for West Coast tournaments, right? I think like probably more than Fresno had, at least. So that's saying something.
It was Fresno. Yeah, get right away there, but nah, it'll be.
Hey, Portland's tough to get. Portland's pretty expensive to get into, depending on where you are in the country. Like, Portland, Fresno is expensive to get to. Sacramento is expensive, but like Portland is also not on the cheaper end to fly into.
You're not wrong. Thankfully, I will be training it to Portland. Since I'm out near Vancouver, there is a train that goes to Portland. I think it ends up being like 8 hours long, which gives me time to get my team in game because I'm going to be playing this weekend. So I'm excited for that. I talked about it before, trying to get my invite and stuff. So attending locals, attending regionals, mixed results at stuff, but is what it is.
Well, how are you feeling so far? Because like, it's not like you could just like take a popular team and succeed with it, right? Because it's a brand new format for everybody. So everybody's out on this new frontier together. Like, how confident are you feeling going into Portland?
Okay, so you said you can't take a popular team and just run with it. But I kind of just took Joe's Sun team from last Portland and threw a walking wake on there, and I'm running with it. So,
well, I guess it's a good city to run it in.
I still don't know if I'm going to run it because I didn't start playing it with the intention of bringing it, but I'm comfortable with Sun. I know this is Joe's Sun team, but I also went like, I think it was like 22 out of 25, 23 out of 25 with the Sun team with a Slitherwing over the King Gambit from Joe's Portland team in one of the online ICs. I say 22 out of 25 because there was like a disconnect bug or something, so people could actually disconnect when they were about to lose. So I had to win a lot more than I kind of was hoping I had to, but I was familiar with Sun. I do like Sun, so I've been enjoying the team. It's funny though, because I'll be queuing on matches, right? And then a lot of the times I will play the same team as Joe Ugarte, so people are like, are you guys really bringing this to Portland? Or there was like a screenshot going around where, because they saw my account playing the Sun team at 4 a.m. and they were like, oh, like, the account Sierra Dawn is playing Joe's team, like from Portland, like thinking that Joe was playing on like an account under my name to keep it secret. I don't know. It's been kind of goofy, I'm not
Right.
gonna lie, but
That's like the worst. That'd probably be the worst way to conceal information. Is for Joe to play on your account with his Sun team is like that's like a ostrich putting their head in the sand thinking they're hiding. Like no, everybody would know. And then obviously 4 a.m. because you're on the West Coast now. So
yeah, I was just like, no, this was because people are like, Sierra, were you playing Showdown at 4 a.m.? I'm like, yeah, and they're like, really? Like, yes, like I'm competing. Like, I know we are not allowed to
I mean,
publicly
I've
say
seen
when we're casting, but I can be.
you sent me some of the replays. You sent me
I
some of those replays, Sierra. The team is downright savage.
It can't. So my thing is, I'm still at a level. So just I don't know the team inside and out like Joe does. So there's definitely like things that I'm still learning. But hopefully, an 8-hour ride to Portland be good. But I'm still like, there's a part of me that's like, I started playing the team as a joke. So like, is this really the team I want to bring? I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I feel a lot more confident with the team than my Reg E team that I took to my Seattle locals here because that didn't go well. That was
Yeah, you were telling me right. It was before New Year's, right?
yeah, the on the 30th actually.
Okay,
So
and it looked like kind of stacked. It wasn't just like it wasn't free. It wasn't like you and Joe could just invade Seattle and just pick up some free championship points. It was pretty stacked. There were some great players there.
well, we ended up driving down with Rafa and NJ, so we brought good players with us. So there was that, and there ended up being good players there. So it was definitely not free. So in the first the MSS, so there was an MSS followed by a PC. And the MSS, Rafa got first, Joe got second, and NJ got fourth. Um, I didn't make it, and then there ended up, I forget exactly what it was, but basically originally there was supposed to be a top four cut. Then the software wouldn't allow for a top four cut, so they just said, well, whatever the placements is now is where it ends. So the top four players, you can actually compete in the PC that's happening after. So those were supposed to be my points and my opportunity to get points. And now Rafa, Joe, and NJ could play again. And they didn't even win. They just made it so I couldn't win. Actually, no, there were some other really good players there, and so it wasn't just there was good fights.
That's a real bummer because I do think one of the beautiful things that we have in this game, which is the MSS PC doubleheader days at locals, which I truly love those. We used to do those at Liberty Garden and in Tri-State literally all of the time. But one of the I guess founding principles of these double event days is that the people that top cut the first event are not a part of the second event, so that way the championship points are spread out. So that's a bit of a bummer, and people always, but I want to win the MSS and the PC, but it's like, but you don't need to, because if you win the MSS, then you made enough championship points today compared to the other people that could try to get top 8 from the PC afterwards or whatever. So that is a bummer that like one of the fundamental great things about our doubleheader events like was not held together for you.
Well, realistically, like I was playing really bad, really, really bad. I had a good team. Actually messaged Tang, Justin Tang. Y'all may know him as the 2-time regional champion, first year playing, yada yada, just whatever. But he let me use his
Tang
Reggie
Gang
Drago
certified.
team. Yeah, he let me use his Reggie Drago Golden Go team that he ended up placing super well with at San Antonio, and I did not do the team justice. I apologized to him after, like, yo, like, my bad. Like, this did not go well. But at that point, I was so focused on Regulation F. And, like, once I started playing Reg E again, the practice I had going up to Seattle, I was like, I I think I'm gonna get bodied today. Honestly, I think I'm about to get bodied. I was so reg F pilled at that point, so it is what it is. I'm kind of sad I couldn't get any points, but if it at least gets a good Portland result, then it's worth it. So
yeah, and then of course there's always in case it doesn't go well on day one, which fingers crossed we're hoping that it does. There's always there's always like a PC at regionals on Sundays, right? So
no, I want to win Portland regionals. Easy. Get my invite. You know.
That's right. And then you get on that graphic of all the people holding their Switches. That's you. It's gonna be
Yeah.
you there.
Exactly. I'll have to buy cuter Joy-Cons before the weekend if I'm going to be on that graphic. Or they'll just be a desperate tweet and they're like, they're about to take my photo for the official graphic. Does anyone have Joy-Cons that aren't these stupid red and blue ones? Need something.
So I actually have custom Joy-Cons that I got custom Joy-Cons from Alberto, shout outs. That look like Super Nintendo colored. So they're like silver grayish and then purple buttons. Ooh. Like the Super Nintendo controller. Yeah, it's like one of my favorite. I don't think I have them. I don't have them on my Switch right now. They must be somewhere. I don't know. Somewhere else in my room. I don't want to get up and try to find them. But Super Nintendo is my favorite console of all time. So that's what that's why I like those Joy-Cons. But let's get back on track with Regulation FC. Yeah. And let's talk about the format. We've had another week to play. You're practicing for a regional. I'm also practicing because I'm playing in Charlotte. So I'm also on the grind. We've been, talking in our group chats and whatnot and sending replays to each other and stuff. So where are you feeling on Regulation F right now? Is it more fun than Regulation E? Is it more centralizing? Like, what are our thoughts on Reg F?
I don't think it's been too centralizing. I don't think a good meta means that you can play any Pokemon. So the way I see it is like there's a certain amount of variety that is still good before it actually just gets to the point where it's no longer fun. And I think so far it's at a good point. I kind of thought at the beginning that Raging Bolt might be a little too strong. I was actually really worried about Raging Bolt. And the more I play against it, the more it's like, oh, just don't let it thunderclap you. Just do something else with the Pokemon it's trying to thunderclap and then hit it with the other Pokemon like it's hard. So it's kind of like the few problem Pokemon I thought of early on in the meta kind of actually aren't that big of an issue, which is kind of nice. And I think it's been fun. Like the Pokemon that were kind of problematic before, like Urshifu, doesn't feel too strong right now because there's other strong tools to deal with it. Incineroar actually doesn't feel overpowered at all so far. Like it seems fine. It's good, but it's just Incineroar, right? So I don't know. I've been enjoying it so far.
I just can't wait personally till you add to the Roaring Mid collection with the Raging Mid now with Raging Bolt, where you just don't think, it's kind of mid. It's gonna, you're adding to your Paradox Mid collection.
Yeah, honestly, that's like do a tier list and it's just like mid or not mid. I don't know. Great, but I don't know. If you could easily make the name something
I would
mid,
agree.
then it's just bad.
Good thing Fluttermane, he can't do it.
Right. For real.
Can't even make Slither Mid. There you go. That's a tough one.
Don't you dare.
All right, let's get back on track. So I agree with you. I think Regulation F is very fun right now. F for fun. I like that there are more viable Pokemon, like, just having Picolytics up on my computer. Like, if I scroll down to like 3%, 4% usage, like there's still viable Pokemon at this point. There's like Gouging Fire is 4% usage. Latias is 5% usage. Like, Primarina, Ursaluna, Hatterene, Araquanid, like these are all low usage mons that are still viable. And so I do like when formats have a very wide breadth of available Pokemon to use. And I think Regulation F definitely has that much more to their benefit than Regulation E certainly did. The top Pokemon are still definitely the top Pokemon, right? But I do agree with you that Incineroar just feels strong. It's like, I don't think it's going to be the Regulation B Fluttermane levels of usage. Like, it's not going to be 78% day one usage, which I think going into this, as we were all dreading the start of Regulation F with Incineroar coming back, I think that's the biggest thing, is it's not going to be on every single team. It's still going to be great. It'll still probably be number one in usage, but it's not going to be 100%.
And like, even if it is 100%, it doesn't feel like an impressive 100%. Like, Fluttermane really felt like it was denying some teams and some Pokemon any level of viability, whereas Incineroar doesn't really feel like that. Like, it's a strong Intimidator, it's strong tools, it's a strong fake out option, but it doesn't feel like it's really not allowing other Pokemon to be around, which is what I like. Like, I think Regulation F definitely has strong Pokemon all around, but nothing feels too overpowered to where it seems unfun, so far at least. Fingers crossed it stays that way. But it also kind of seems
we got a couple
like
months. Yeah.
we got a bit. But it seems well done in like a rock, paper, scissors type of format thing. So maybe there is like, maybe your team will take a hard loss to Raging Bolt. But there's a lot of teams that are quite balanced that don't take a hard loss to Raging Bolt, which I think is fine. Like, you can't have a team that has a favorable matchup against everything in the field, or else, oh, there's the unhealthy meta right there, right? So
yeah, I think it's pretty exciting how open the field is right now. I know after Portland, then we're gonna start to think about like what Pokemon, or like people just use that 6 for whoever wins, and then it might, maybe it'll get a little more tight in the closing of the viability, maybe a little bit more after Portland. But at least now, like when we look at all these online tournaments and everything, it's pretty wide open. Like what was it, last week we had the Tommy Tuesdays. Was that the one that had like, it had like 800 players in it or something, right? So on just like a random Tuesday night.
The hit and run.
Yeah, so I'm looking now, and I remember I was watching Joe Ugarte stream actually, and it was really funny that he stayed through like all, I think it was 10 rounds of Swiss. Yeah, and so it was 10 rounds of Swiss, and I want to say like top 16 cut or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And then Joe, when he lost his last round, he was trying to convince the TOs in Discord to make it top 32 because there's so many players. He's like, come on, top 32, top 32. And then he was unsuccessful. But then it turns out, even if he convinced them correctly, Joe still bubbled at 33rd anyway. So the whole chat was dying. Like, he's trying to game the system, and the system still wouldn't have even benefited him.
See, I do think with a tournament that size, like, it would have been nice, but I do think it is, once the tournament starts and is set, that like you kind of stick to your guns. But like, it ended up being like, if you didn't go X1, like, you're kind of not in a great spot, which is insane for a 1-day online tournament, because so many people were playing to get Reg F practice.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could have continued to play, through all 10 rounds of Swiss, even if you had like a losing record. But it looks like it was a clean top 16 cut, actually, which is pretty nice. I think maybe there's a little bit of buffer of bubbling there. I'm not sure how low it goes here. But we can talk about the winning team here, Sierra. And that is from Darts, who went 14-0. It was all best of 1 because obviously the tournament would still be going on from last Tuesday if it was best of 3. And actually having a pretty cool team that I think a lot of people are kind of building around now, which is like somewhat of a new balancy, like a Raging Bolt Entei balance score. I don't know, maybe we'll come up with a term for it. But it's Entei, Ogerpon Wellspring, Fluttermane, Raging Bolt, Chien-Pao, and Landorus. And I think just the thing to notice is that Chien-Pao, kind of like friendship with Dragonite, has ended because Entei has entered the chat. And you go Terra Normal Extreme Speed with Chien-Pao with Entei, who also has Inner Focus and can't get flinched, can't get intimidated, can't get faked out, right? Like, is Entei just better than Dragonite now?
So it's funny because I felt like Entei was so to be fair, like what I know of Regulation F is just over my last couple days of playing like the Showdown ladder, both the best of one and the best of three. But like it's funny because I've been seeing Dragonite kind of come back a little bit more. I feel like too, especially I'll see Dragonite still exist with Qian Paoan Dondozo teams. Just having like that strong combination there. But just because being able to resist quite a few common things that are going to hit quite hard with your dragon type is nicer than, the Entei getting absolutely destroyed by a walking wake. Hydro Steam or getting wrecked by a Stomping Tantrum or something. So I've been seeing less and less Enteis, frankly, which is interesting. Like we're still so early in format that it's kind of nutty.
I think Entei is going to be really strong, honestly, by the end of. I think even in Portland, if you're not ready for Entei, you're going to have a rough time. There's a bunch of different sets that people are going like. There's Assault Vest and Choice Band and kind of like a bulky Citrus Berry variant and stuff. But what was cool on Dart's team, the Raging Bolt, like everyone said, Raging Bolt's a great Pokemon and it wins the first big tournament online here. It was Safety Goggles, Terra Electric, Thunderclap, Draco Meteor, Thunderbolt, and Protect. So I think there's like a lot of different ways to run Raging Bolt. Like we talked about it last week, Sierra. There's a Calm Mind version. There's Terra Fairy. There's Terra Grass if you don't want Safety Goggles. So maybe go Terra Grass with Booster Energy or something like that. Like Raging Bolt is going to be a Pokemon that when you're playing in Portland, like Sierra, you got to make sure you read that team sheet because every Raging Bolt's going to be different.
100%. Which I think just Raging Bolt and the Wellspring Ogerpon next to each other is just really, really strong too. Because I feel like the biggest issue with Raging Bolt is if there's like Qian Power, there's different priority hitting into it. It just kind of negates the Thunderclap. But being able to have it next to a Follow Mirror and making sure that it can't be redirected by a Moongus by having like the safety goggles, I think is like the most annoying set like out of all of them. So that's the one I'd be actually not wanting to go up against.
If we take a look at the usage from the Tommy Tuesday event, so it was like 780 players or something in total, whatever ended up being at. And Incineroar was at 58% usage, but the Raging Bolt was at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eighth most popular Pokemon at 19% usage. However, even though it was only 19% usage, the thing that a lot of people have been showing or pointing out from this tournament is that the win share percentage, every team that had a Raging Bolt on it had a 54, almost 55% win percentage, meaning not only was it the eighth most popular Pokemon, but it was also, if you had, just by having Raging Bolt on your team, meant you were statistically more likely to win games in this tournament. And I think that's crazy.
I'm still curious to how much of that though is new regulation. People don't know how the new Pokemon work going up against them, as opposed to like actually if the Pokemon is cracked or broken. Like I think it'll be a good Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but I'm so curious. We get another Tommy Tuesday tour. I don't know what it'd be because this was already the hit and run, but something else in a month. The depressing January tournament, I don't know, but be curious to see like actually how the usage would compare like stacked up from there, right?
Right. Well, let's look at some of the other Pokemon, right? Like, so for example, Incineroar, 49% win rate. So it's on 58% of teams, but only 49% win rate. So let's look at the top usage, like combining usage and win percentage. Landorus Incarnate, 54% win percentage, 30% usage, right? So that's on there with Raging Bolt. King Gambit, 53% win percent. What is it? Latias, 54% win rate. Entei, almost 56% win rate on Entei. And I think that might be one of the things you're talking about of people were not prepared for this new format and really weren't realizing how strong Entei was going to be, so they didn't have great Entei matchups. That 56% win rate on a 9% usage mon. Like, that's crazy.
Well, Slitherwing as a Pokemon on official Pokemon broadcast has a 100% win rate, so none of the Pokemon you're listing can actually touch that.
Well, there you go. Hey, there was I'm just sorting by win percentage now. There was one Jumpluff that went 8-2, so they had an 82% 80% win rate. Jumpluff, highest rated Pokemon, technically. That's stats
There
for
you
you.
go.
That's science.
That's science. It's simply the best Pokemon.
So the other ones. Brute Bonnet, Magmar, Lapras, Great Tusk. Those are other ones there, but let's ignore. Let's just be done with the online tournaments because we're about to get back into real life here, Sierra. So we're about to get back to the Portland Regional Championships where we were last May. I want to say I'm pretty sure it was May. It was a crazy time. Joe Ugarte won his back-to-back, quote unquote, back-to-back Portland regionals with a couple of COVID years in between there. So he's looking to go for the three-peat at Portland this upcoming weekend. Obviously, you're close to the source here. How nervous is Joe at trying to attempt this three-peat?
Not really, too nervous. It's more of, I don't know. There's, some events that's, super nervous beforehand. This one, not really. But I feel too, the mentality going into this season of Pokemon is a lot healthier, which leads him to not be as nervous before events. So it's not because this isn't a high stake event. I think it's just a healthier mentality. But I know he's excited. It'll be exciting. I'm excited for him. I'm nervous. I'm the nervous one, I think, for him, frankly. But no, I'm excited. That'd be really, really cool because that's not really a title that anyone has. Even winning the back-to-back Portland, I think was insane because that was he came off of two regionals where he was the finalist and he lost in finals. And then he gets to Portland and then he wins.
Right.
Then being able to title defend. So if he actually does take it down, that's just insane VGC history right there.
Yeah, this will definitely be an iconic moment if Joe is actually able to pull it off. I will definitely be rooting for him to make it happen. But enough about Joe for now. Let's get into our opinions and our predictions of what is going to happen at the Portland Regional Championships. So this is going to be the first one of a new regulation. We try to do these for all the North American regionals, and they're all just for fun, So we have 6 questions this time around instead of 5. I was trying to lower it to 5, but then I was like, no, it's just too important. We gotta include this 6th question here. So I'll read off all of these, Sierra. We'll go one at a time. Just make life easier. I'll read the question and you answer first every time, just to make life easier. It's okay. So our first question: highest day 1 usage new Paradox Pokemon. So of those new 6 Pokemon, which one will be the highest usage on day 1?
That one? So my heart says Walking Wake because I think that Pokemon is cracked, but I think it's just split between too many good water types right now that it's going to then maybe not have the same usage as kind of that solo electric type. That is the Raging Bolt because there's not really any other good electric types out there. What, Thundurus? I can't really think of anything else, and why are you going to use a Thundurus? So I'd have to say Raging Bolt just off of that logic, even though I think Walking Wake is a better Paradox.
Yeah, I think for your electric type, it's probably only Iron Hands, right? It's probably the only other viable electric type right now. Maybe a Regieleki, but most people have the Assault Vest on other slots, so they've kind of dropped Iron Hands because it really likes there. I think you're probably right with the Raging Bolt. However, I do want to, just try to spice it up here with our predictions, and I'm going to try to hope that Walking Wake has the highest usage just because that thing hits hard, man. If you get hit by a photosynthesis boosted Draco Meteor, or even it's a attack, it's a Hydro Steam or whatever in the sun, it can actually deal massive amounts of damage. So I'm hoping that we'll have Walking Wake there, but you'll probably Hydro Steam, was its water attack that like it can like one shot Fluttermane with a helping hand. You can one shot Fluttermanes. It's actually kind of crazy. Okay, number 2 question. Not counting Incineroar, because obviously that'll be the highest new addition to the format. What will be the highest day 1 usage Regulation F Pokemon? So a Pokemon that did not exist before this current format, and not counting Incineroar.
Oh, I'm not counting Incineroar. I'm like trying to like go back quickly through my mind on what new Pokemon have been added, what's going on. Oh my. Okay, I'll let you answer this one first because I need to have a genuine think about
Okay,
this. I can't even look up Piccolin or like look up anything else to
I got
remind me
you.
of Pokemon right now.
No, I got you. That's all right. I got you. So it's more than just the 6 paradoxes, right? Like, because you have
Yes.
the legendary beasts, you have the, and then obviously the Terrakion version, and that's not going to work. But obviously Latios and Latias are in contention as well. So there's actually a good number of Pokemon that were added in Regulation F. And my answer is going to be Entei, because I think Entei is really strong right now in the format. Like, we talked about was it Chien, or what was the Dragonite? Pow Knight was what they called it, right? Now we can call it
Yeah.
like Tay Pow or something, whatever the Entei and Chien Pow core combo is going to be. I think it's really good. Can't get intimidated. Can't get flinched. I think it's probably like it's sizably better than Gouging Fire in my opinion. Like, I don't think it's a toss up. I think it's considerably better than Gouging Fire. So yeah, that's my choice. Besides Incineroar, I'm going to say Entei.
I forgot Entei existed for a second. That would have been my pick, I
You
think.
could just say Raging Bolt again if you want.
I know, but like that's boring. I feel like that's the smart thing to say, but it's like I still hate it because that's boring. But I think I'm gonna be boring today, and yeah, I mean, I think it's splashable. I think people like using new tools. I think it's definitely strong with certain Pokemon. I don't think it's as like, oh my god, this is a problem, but I still think it is strong. So sure, we'll say Raging Bolt again.
There you go. Hey, listen, this weekend you want to play it safe. You want you want to go with the safe answers, the consistent answers. You want to win, and by winning, if it's by saying Raging Bolt, it might just help you get there. So,
True.
now this is an interesting question. Number
Okay.
3 prediction for Portland Regional Championships: will there be more Tornadus or Urshifu Rapid Strike in day 2? They're usually tied to the hip with each other, but now Tornadus can be on sunny day teams. It's not just rain dance teams.
Yeah, I think Tornadus is going to be my answer. Just because, well, I was going to say because we kind of got more water types to kind of replace like the need for a Nurse Shifu, but at the same time, we did get Whimsicott for like Tailwind. But I think I'm still going to say Tornadus. I think there is an uptick right now in Water Ogre Pond. I think Walking Wake is viable. So because we have the two, I think that it'll kind of suppress Urshifu a little bit, especially too. I do think that there is good Urshifu resists that have been added into the format, whereas with like the Tornadus versus Whimsicott, like there is some Whimsicott tailwind, but I do just think the Tornadus is stronger, especially with the tools and stuff that it has. So that'll be my answer. I'll go the Genie way.
I'm glad you fell for the trap because I'm happy you went first because I'm very excited I get to say Urshifu Rapid Strike because I don't know why, but in all of our numbers, every event, we always have it. It should be 50-50, right? Or it should be 100%. It should be every team that has Urshifu on it has a Tornadus, but for some reason it's not. And so every event, our Urshifu just happens to have a higher percentage than Tornadus. Like, so that means there's more Urshifus without, like, or that some of them don't have a Tornadus on the team. And even looking at Pikalytics and looking at every regional we've had, for some reason, Urshifu Rapid Strike is higher usage than Tornadus, even though it feels like Tornadus should be a prerequisite if you want to run the Urshifu there. So I'm going to say Urshifu will be higher just because history has shown us that, I don't know, for some reason it has been a higher usage, even without Torn.
Yeah, interesting to see how that holds up, because I think there is definitely going to be people that are rolling up to Portland that are like, well, Tornadus Urshifu was so strong in Reg E, and they're going to bring their Reg E teams. And there definitely is still going to be a lot of pieces that are really, really strong. But it'll be curious to see how that faces off against like the new pieces that are being added.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a clash, and it'll be cool to see what Tornadus, like I don't know if Arcanine has the use of like Sunny Day versus Rain Dance or versus both. I know the Jody Classic running Rain Dance and Sunny Day on the same team, but let's see. Question number 4. Now do you want to do a range or an exact number here? Day 1 Incineroar usage rate. So like, do you want to have a 5% range, or do you want to give an exact percentage? Like, how are you feeling this?
I say we're allowed 2% grace over or under, unless the other person is closest. So if I say 58 and you say 60, then or if I say 57, you say 60, and it's 59, you're technically closer, even if it was within my 2 range. So
okay.
This is for Incineroar, you said? Day 1?
Day 1. All the little Timmies out there are currently still in the tournament.
I'm going to say 56.
Wow. Okay. This is actually unintended. I already had my, answer prepared for it. I'm going to flip that. My answer was going to be 65% usage.
Okay. So high. Day 1, really?
But we've seen how regionals work. At least this season, the last couple, since we started having that top 12 graphic, like there's Pokemon up in the 60% usage every single time, right?
Oh. I don't know. Well, I'm glad that it's not like next to each other, so like we don't actually have to worry about the who's closer within that 2% range.
The
So
only the only worry we have, right, is like 60.5% or something would be directly between us. Something like that, right?
Then we flip a coin. We flip a coin.
All right, I like that. Now the second Incineroar question, because obviously we need to have multiple Incineroar questions when we talk about the big Firecat coming back into the format. Will Incineroar be on the regional winning team? So that's just the one person that wins the event. And then, of course, we know what the next question will be. But this current question, will the Portland Regional Champion have an Incineroar on their team?
No, because I'm not running Incineroar.
Wow. Oh, that's it? That's the whole...
That's it, yeah. There's nothing more to be said. It can't win Portland if I'm not running.
All right, I love the confidence. Well, I feel bad going, voting against you here, but I would say it is statistically more likely than not that the winning player will have an Incineroar on their team. So I'm going to go with the numbers and say yes, Incineroar will win Portland.
I thought you were going to say statistically, I'm not going to win Portland, so you can say yes, Incineroar should be on the winning team. Like, you're not wrong.
No. No, I would never. That was, you were being savage to yourself. I would never say. I have full confidence in you. All right, you're gonna do great. You're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna make some friends. People are gonna tell us that we should make OHKO stickers, and we're like, oh my god, we should make OHKO stickers, and then we just forget to do it.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to do that for the new year, didn't we? Well,
it's okay. My only hesitation was if Entei was going to be on that winning team. As I'm trying to think of the fire types that could win, and I was like, it could be Incineroar or Entei, and I just played it safe with the Incineroar. But let's get to the most important question. The one that everybody wants to know on their brain. Number 6, who will win the Portland Regional Championships? And just so we know, Sierra, you can go first, obviously. You have not chosen this player intentionally the last couple of regionals so that they would be off your cooldown so you could choose them for this event.
Yeah, of course I'm picking Joe Garte. And I have had to hear after every podcast episode that because I have not voted for him, why don't you vote for me? But it's because I've been waiting so I could vote for him for this one, for Portland Regional. I mean, 2-time Portland Regional champion, absolutely cracked at Pokemon. Nothing more needs to be said. Easy.
Really into loud music too, you know?
Yep. Definitely had to tell him like 6 times to turn it down before the podcast started.
It was one of the funniest moments of my life. We can move on from it because it's a little behind the scenes thing, but I was in tears laughing. All right, my answer. Obviously, I will not also say Joe because that's not fun if we have the same answer. I'm going to be rooting for Joe, but I'll be rooting for a lot of players there. And my personal winner of the Portland Regional Championship is Jody Azzarelli. He's got a lot of momentum going on online. His like coaching is picking up, and he's got a lot of students. And he was hosting that tournament, the Hitmonchan Rock Paper Scissors tournament. And he's always making funny memes and stuff. So I would love for Jody, who I believe did recently get a top 8 at a regional. So I would love if he is able to be the winner. Maybe he beats Joe in the finals or something. We could have the ultra drama.
No, no, that's not allowed. He can get second. Joe gets first. Yeah.
All right. Dude, if Joe finishes second, like, I think Joe can finish anywhere from 4th to last place, right? I think that's fair. Like, it's either 1st and 4th and infinity is where Joe can finish. If Joe Garte finishes 2nd this weekend, that's going to hurt so much.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm always a nervous wreck when he competes. At least, like, since I'm competing, I can be a nervous wreck for myself. But yeah, it is stressful when he competes, especially in Top Cut. Like, oh my goodness.
I don't know. I hope he brings that team to some picnics and gives them a couple baths and feeds them sandwiches and stuff so that they can hit their moves, because that's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, no, that's the problem area. That and clicking his moves too fast. But that's not, this ain't the time or place.
All right, so since we're on the road and we're traveling and stuff, we're trying to get this episode over with. So we're going to end it with our question of the week. And usually we go for a little bit longer, but we're trying to stay on top of things here. So we're going to get Sierra on the road headed towards Portland, and I'll be there on the move on Friday as well. But I'm going to ask the question, and then I'll let you handle it because you're the expert on the topic.
Ooh,
so this comes from oh, geez, my Discord's trying to load. Hold on. I'm trying to split second in our Discord. Make sure if you want to ask your question of the week, you can join our Discord in the description here and ask it in the channel. So split second asks us, wait, where is it? Do you think the introduction of the Synchro Machine in the DLC is a prelude to a new and soon-to-come mystery dungeon game?
Ooh, okay. So I have quite a few opinions about this machine. I don't necessarily know if it's a prelude to a mystery dungeon game. I think the reason being, anyone who's played Mystery Dungeon, the way it goes is you're kind of moving around like the spaces, and I feel like for the synchro moving and just the mechanics on how the game works is I don't realistically see a way for that to work out well, right? But I do think that they added this to the game for a reason. I feel like it's absolutely no reason why they would put all this work. In case anyone doesn't know, this synchro function is you talk to this person, and like the Let's Go feature that has your Pokemon run around with the AI, you actually get to control the Pokemon from that Pokemon's like viewpoint. So they had to then bring that into the game. You've not been able to kind of like in a mainline Pokemon game see the point of view of the Pokemon like running around. It was like not quite the point of view. It's third person, but still, you're the one running around. So it's interesting. They definitely added it for a reason, but I don't think it's because of Mystery Dungeon. I think maybe some quirky Pokemon thing in the future.
Now I'm definitely less versed in the Mystery Dungeon world than like most Pokemon fans. I've only played a couple of them. Like I played one of them back in the day, and then I played the remake of it on the 3DS when they added like Mega Evolution to it or whatever. I can't remember what it was called, but so correct me if I'm wrong. If you're more well versed than I am, Sierra. Isn't most of the movement like in the Mystery Dungeon game kind of grid based and like down, down, right, up, down, left, dot, like, and it's not very free roam the way that the free roam Pokemon are in the DLC here for Scarlet and Violet. So my assumption is unless they drastically change how Mystery Dungeon works, that these two things are unconnected.
Yeah, that's 100% it. Like, it just doesn't really work. Like, they would have to be doing a huge rehaul to the Mystery Dungeon concept. And I feel like that kind of takes away, like, that grid style game. Because if you're seeing as well, like, the viewpoint of a Pokemon in that third person, you won't be able to see other Pokemon and stuff progress towards you or, like, how the grid is supposed to progress. Like, it just like if somebody's watching this and they have a way that they actually do think it works out, like please let me know. But thinking through how the game operates, like it doesn't add up to me that would be what it's for. And I don't know if they did try to like stretch it to make it happen, I feel like it could be a big flop personally.
Now I have a follow-up Mystery Dungeon question for you here. When you were playing the game and when you were first started out, you just booted it up and you answer those personality questions to determine which type of Pokemon you're going to end up with and who your best friend's going to be and all that stuff. I need an honest answer, Sierra. Did you
Yes.
faithfully answer those questions to your own personality and accepted your outcome? Or did you Google it to choose the Pokemon you wanted to end up with?
No, I actually truthfully answered because, like, you can restart the game, but like if you really hate it. But I was curious. I ended up getting for Super Mystery Dungeon. I got Torchic, which was amazing. So Torchic is not my favorite Gen 3 starter. It's actually Trico, but I ended up picking Trico as my rival. Well, not I say rival as like my friend,
Yeah.
and it was just like really really like it fits so much better. Like it was so much better than if I was the Trico and like the other one was the Torchic. Like the way the personalities were, the personality of the Trico, the story made me bawl my eyes out for 30 minutes and I had to go to my work and my boss thought there was something wrong with me. And like it was just a really well done story and it wouldn't have been nearly as good if the characters were any other way. So honesty pays off.
I'm not even going to pretend like I answered truthfully. And when I played the 3DS remake, I Googled that immediately so I could end up with Riolu as my character and Charmander was my best friend. So I'm not even going to put up a front for you, Sierra. I know what I wanted. I didn't want to end up as like Nuzleaf or whatever.
Like I get that you don't want to start as like go as a bad Pokemon. Like I get that. And like I definitely like because I'm not gonna front here and be like, oh well, you have to play the game with the Pokemon it gives you. Oh my goodness. Like no. Like I did
There
it
are people
honest.
like that though.
I know, but like I did it honestly and I ended up getting a Pokemon that I liked and like it worked out and I was really happy with it. But if I was a Pokemon I didn't like, I'd be pretty upset. So if I got something stupid, I would have reset and I would have Googled. So
What does it say that if you answer openly and honestly with your own personality and you don't like the results, what does that say?
Huh. That's
I don't want to get all psychological here.
Yeah. You answer the personality thing correctly and find out that you are just a chess pin on the inside. Like, oof, hurts.
That's an unfortunate circumstance, but we don't have the psychology degrees to go over this, so we're gonna actually end it here. Sierra, you do the classics, you close us out. Is there anything else that you want to just chat about or put a tie a bow on, whatever that phrase is, before we head out?
Yeah, wish me luck at Portland, friends. I need the points for the invite, and being able to say that I won a regional would be super, super dope. So, not for reals though. Thank you all so much for listening and tuning in, especially because I know the audio, the lag, the other things are just not quite the most ideal right now because of traveling. Unfortunately, with two Pokemon casters who do travel around, sometimes that is the reality. But next week's episode should be fixed, so I appreciate you hanging in there while you could. If you're headed to Portland Regionals, safe travels, best of luck at the event, and of course, if you want to come up and say hi, feel free to at any point. That is not Joe actively casting or me actively playing a match. Otherwise, fair game. Thanks again so much for listening, everyone. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you next time on OHKO.